Hi, welcome back to the Corinna Handmade YouTube channel. I'm Corinna. On this channel I share with you all of the crafty things going on in my life. Anything from knitting, crocheting, sewing, quilting, weaving, spinning, anything that I'm getting up to. Hello! Welcome back to my channel. This is episode 4 of the Corinna Handmade Knitting podcast. It has been a lot of weeks since I've last recorded and uploaded. I think somewhere at the end of February, so about 6 weeks. There has been a lot of change in my life. As I'm sure you can tell, the background is different. I am in a completely different state. I've moved, no longer living in New York City, and you know, a lot of moving and packing and organizing and destashing came along with that move. But I'm finally excited to be sitting down with you and sharing the things that I've been up to. We have a mix of knitting and spinning, no crocheting this week, or this month and a half since I've been gone. But I hope you are excited to join me and watch. If you are coming back, if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for sticking around during this little hiatus. And if you are new, if this is the first episode you're watching, I have 3 other episodes and an art bat haul. And art bats are, you know, fiber that you spin. So if you're into spinning, definitely go check that out. It's from one of the shops that I love to support, my friend Amanda over at Melanated Boho Bay. I think I hauled about like 7 or 8 bats. There is a lot of crinkling in that video just because of the packaging that Amanda uses, but it's great to see all the beautiful colors, and I have actually spun up one of those bats. So I'll show you that today, and then I'll kind of do a recap. I did take some footage of me spinning. I have 2 other skeins of yarn that I will share with you that I've spun within the last few weeks, and that's what we have to look forward to. We'll start with what I'm drinking. So it's about the afternoon time here, so no more tea for me for the day, but I do have, this is just cold brew tea from Twinings of London. 2 tea bags. I think this is 20 something ounces of water and a few ice cubes. This is my Starbucks tortoiseshell cup. I love everything tortoiseshell. It, you know, stems probably from tortoiseshell, excuse me, tortoiseshell sunglasses. But you know, it's a beautiful pattern and I love it. So when I saw this cup a few years ago, had to have it. So that is just cold brew iced tea. Next up, I will share with you what I'm wearing. So it's not knitwear, but it is a beautiful ice dye long sleeve t-shirt. It is pretty cropped. I'm sitting and the camera's close so you can't see it, but it's a cropped t-shirt. This is by Catherine over at Kitty's Knitty Creations on Instagram. She has a adorable, amazing Etsy shop, and she's been ice dyeing so much. So this is a colorway called Ocean Eyes. I love the blues and the dark blues, some greens. I feel like Ariel in this shirt. I feel like a mermaid, which is funny because the blanket I sit with at my desk while I'm working is a little mermaid blanket, and I have it right next to me. And the colors are so similar. Look at this, blue, green, a little bit of purple. I bring in the red with the hair. I think that's so fun. So that is what I'm wearing. Nothing knitted, but still something crafty, handmade by a fellow shop owner. So if you like ice dyed, if you love the look, go check out Catherine's shop. Follow her on Instagram. She makes amazing things. I have the same colorway in a crew neck sweatshirt, and I've just been wearing it every single day since I purchased it probably a month ago. It needs to be washed, but until then, we're gonna be wearing the long sleeve shirt. All right, I don't remember where to start, but we'll dive right into my whip bin. So this is a canvas bin from Amazon that I love. I have a few of them, and They're so great for storing projects I'm currently working on, or anything for the podcast. I'll just throw in here and know that I will go through it on camera. So first thing up, we have a FO. So in the last episode, I showed you one of these socks. These are the Hatching Socks by Emma from the New York Year. Look at me in my fancy sock blockers. After that long period of time where I lost my wooden ones, I had no sock blockers, but I'm really liking these wire ones. I forget what brand they are. I purchased them from Jimmy Beans Wool, but I know it's a different company. You can find them on Amazon. I will link the Amazon link below, so if you're interested in purchasing them, you can get them, but these are the size medium. They're great for me. If you can see the design on this sock, they look like little striations or lines in a pattern that kind of work around cylindrically on an angle, and they kind of wrap around the foot. And then I knit this out of Barnyard Knits yarn. I don't remember the colorway. This was a leftover skein from my Find Your Fade that I knit in 2018, and then the heel is a lighter color, but it's a very subtle difference. I just chose to switch up the heel. I didn't know if I would have enough yarn for both socks in the dark green, so that's why I chose the light green as the heel. These are beautiful socks, and I am excited to finally have them done. So added to my pile of socks. I'm gonna call these my March socks, because since I started knitting socks, I have knit one pair every month so far. I know we're just done with Q1 and the first 3 months, but if I am on track to do a pair a month, I think that is awesome to kind of, you know, interject it with all the other things I am knitting on. So that is an FO. My first whip I will share with you is not in the whip bin, but it is right next to me. This is my Bright Side sweater, which is a free pattern by Espace Tricot. Now looking, I think I'm way too close to the camera. There we go. I'll back up a little bit. So this is where I am. So if you see this Progress Keeper, I think it's a number 1. That is marking where I last showed you I was in the last podcast episode 6 weeks ago. Since then, I finished the body, I bound off. So it's a tubular binding, knit one through the back loop, purl one, and so on, with the same size needle so you don't decrease, and then a tubular bind off. I think I had bound off that way one of my other sweaters, not my Paloma, could have been my Paloma, but I have that red, brown, and like tan striped sweater that I wore in, I think, episode 2, and I did not like the way it looked. It was very frumpy, very large, felt like it was just way too big. I didn't like the way it kind of hugged. I would have liked something a little bit tighter. So after I finished this bind off, I remembered, oh wait, I don't think I like the tubular bind off, but I figured with some blocking, it needs to add some length anyway. It is pretty cropped, which I wanted it to be cropped, but I think it does need a little bit more length there to cover me and hit my high-waisted jeans at the point where I like them to be hit. Normally I like to front tuck, or I think they call it French tuck, my sweaters into my jeans just a little bit, but we need a few more inches to do that with this sweater. So the body is done. I started on one sleeve, and I think I'm only going to go 3/4 length with these sleeves and end them here as opposed to full wrist length. The yarn I'm using is a Purl Soho yarn. I don't have... I'm a mess, you guys. I don't know where the extra skein is. This is the color. It is Linen Quill from Purl Soho, which is a 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen blend. The color is chestnut red, so that is that colorway. I'm hoping to get through the one sleeve fairly quickly and then work on the other one, especially since they will be 3/4. I can get through it a little bit better. It's funny, I am knitting this probably on a 16-inch needle and basically magic looping it, which it doesn't seem like it would be long enough to do that with a sweater, but I think there's only like 60 something stitches, and you know, it's a very easy yarn. It's fingering weight, so I don't know what happened to my smaller circumference interchangeable needle set to use. So we're just kind of magic looping it, which I normally don't like magic loop. I knit my socks on 9-inch circulars. I just find that the time it takes to kind of like push the needles through, resituate, takes away from knitting time when I can just knit around in circles and circles and circles and keep going. But it's been working and I haven't, you know, minded it too far. So that is one whip. Hopefully next episode it'll be an FO, but we'll see. Next up we have in my Wild Strands project bag, which I purchased from Chelsea Yarns, but it's from the shop Wild Strands. Love it. Very durable canvas. Love the blue. In here I have my, oh, what is this called? The Classic? It's another free pattern by Espastre Co. So if you're sick of hearing about the free patterns from Espastre Co., I'm so sorry. I'm just adding into it. I think they are great raglan style sweaters if you've never knit a sweater before, or you know, just want something simple, pretty mindless. Espastre Co.'s patterns are great and they're free. Can't complain there. First pattern I ever knit of theirs was the Paloma. It is a green sweater, of course. If you're new here, I love the color green and blue. I mostly gravitate towards greens. I just think they go with my hair very nicely, but I knit that sweater in Autumn and Indigo. They're classic DK in the colorway Storm. I'm wearing it in episode 1, so if you haven't seen that episode, I talk a ton about what I did to that pattern and you know, how I made it fit for me perfectly. But this is a very similar construction with the tubular ribbing, so knit one through the back loop, purl one, continue, and so on. Cute little turtleneck, and then I don't have a progress keeper on this. I just kept knitting and knitting. Did I start this? No. I started this one after my last episode. I think I had just shown you the yarn. I had 3 duets, which this is Chelsea Luxe yarn. And the way that Christina calls her compilation, like a set of her cobblestone, which is known as slub yarn. Other dyers call it slub. She calls it cobblestone. It has little puffs of fiber, and it's kind of like a boucle the way that it's spun up with the mohair. So I had 3 sets. I purchased 2 together and then 1 a few months later, and after looking at the footage and the recording of that yarn side by side, I could tell that one was a little bit more brown undertones than the other 2. So what I did was I kind of spun the 3 sets and I shifted 2 of them. So I took the browner mohair, put it with the richer blue, and then I took one of the richer blues mohair and put it with the browner cobblestone. That way it would kind of mix and it wouldn't just be like every row, since I am alternating skeins. So I have 3 sets of skeins in here. It's a little bit of a mess, but 3 sets. And what I did, which I thought was interesting, only for the last 2. So I knit the collar, the turtleneck, in one. I didn't alternate. I didn't think to alternate until I got to the point of which to do the short rows and just continue with the body and the shaping. But 2 of these I wrapped, or I thread them through a little stitch marker. I don't know if you can see this. I know it's trying to focus on my head, but through a stitch marker, so it would keep the 2 strands together that I would be alternating. So 2 sets out of the 3 have those, and it's just helpful to not get totally jumbled with having 6 strands of yarn, basically. So enough that I'm talking about it, let me show you a little bit better. So yes, so I started this since the last time we spoke, and I'm really loving the color, still with alternating kind of that darker brown undertone skein. There are like prominent stripes, as you can see, kind of dark and light, but I always try to mix it up and follow the 1, 2, 3 order. Let me find where it alternates. So if you see the inside of this sleeve, that line down the middle, that is where I'm carrying the yarn. It's not that stretchy, and I'm not pulling super tight when I'm switching and starting the new row. So I just hope that once I block it, it'll kind of loosen up a little bit and won't tighten up under the arm and kind of be a little lopsided. That is my hope. So we will see. Oh, I dropped a stitch. That's what happens when I'm talking. That's okay. Sometimes when you drop stitches with mohair, it becomes a big pain to pick them up because it's hard to see, and the mohair mixed with the cobblestone makes it a little bit difficult, but since it's just knitting now, it's, you know, totally fine. So we got ways to go. I think a few more inches on the body, and then I will be ready to rib the bottom and then work on the sleeves. This one I'll do a normal sleeve length to my wrists, so I can wear it with some cute high-waisted jeans, tuck it in, or if, you know, the days where I want to wear leggings, it'll be an appropriate length to cover my bum. I love that. All right, next step in my whip bin, I will share with you a pair of socks. So I started these socks when I was running out of the house to go somewhere. I don't remember where. I don't leave the house too frequently these days, but I most recently worked on them post 15 minutes when I was serving my 15 minutes at the at CVS after I got my second vaccine. So, you know, I'll always remember sitting there and making sure I was feeling okay after I got my second shot to work on these socks. And this is the Bunch Berry pattern by Hello Stella. So if you see, there are cute little baubles, or they're really just purl stitches in a pattern. They look like budding flowers, or they're super cute. And this yarn I had caked up, I think in episode 1, and I had showed you. I was very excited to use it, and you know, it was a beautiful sock set. This is a sock set by Olann, which is hand dyed in New Hampshire. I purchased this yarn when I was visiting Harrisville Designs in New Hampshire. So that is where I got this, I think back in October of 2018. So I'm happy to finally be going through it and using it. But so yeah, I'm about a few inches down on the first sock, and what I ended up doing was starting the ribbing for the second sock. Now I found when I was knitting the hatching socks that my gauge for the second sock was noticeably looser. I don't know if the first sock I just get super tense and super tight and knit it you know, that way, and then the second one I'm like, oh, I'm fine, it's the same tension and gauge. So I figured if I knit them at the same time, 2 at a time but on separate needles, maybe they'll be a little bit closer to the same size, the same gauge, what have you. So I'm keeping these in my Mrs. Brown's bags. Mrs. Brown's bags. I don't know what this yarn is, but it's beautiful. I love that it was blue. It's a perfect little sock bag for it. And then other things I have in here alongside the yarn and the 2 socks are my ChiaoGoo red lace twist mini set. So I always keep these. I love, like I said, knitting socks on 9-inch circular needles. And then since I was placing an order with Jimmy Beans for the sock blockers, I purchased some extra red lace cables. So this is the 5-inch. I got 2 of those. And then I got an additional set of US 2.25 needles. So this comes with a 2-inch needle and a 3-inch, which are the same sizes that come in the kit. You just get multiple sizes of the range, millimeter needles. So I have an extra set. I'm a big fan of the 3-inch length tips. Something about the 2-inch, they're just not long enough for me to comfortably grab onto and knit from. I like to kind of hold it with my fingers, but also like, you know, the inside of my hand, I guess my carpal, because if you get carpal tunnel, that's where it affects, but that's how I do that. And I do find with the ChiaoGoos, and I've been watching a few other podcasters, I think Molly of Homespun House was saying that she loves her Hiya Sharps, or she carries one type of needle in her shop, and they're super sharp, but she's never had problems with it poking holes in her fingers. Now, if you remember last episode, or episode 2, I can't remember at this point because it's been so long, I had poked an actual hole in my finger from knitting like 3 pairs of socks so quickly, and I had a band-aid, and I just kept poking it. Even with the band-aid I was poking, I push my needles as opposed to the stitches. So it's just something that I have to get used to, and I'm sure my fingers will callus and become a little bit stronger to prevent, you know, further holes to be made. So those are the socks. What else do we have in here? I always keep that other set of sock yarn that I had spun in preparation of the next sock that I want to knit. So in here we have my Explorer Knits and Fibers yarn. This is lavender, and then the contrasting heel was lichen. Now, if you're laughing at my yarn cakes, me too. There's the saga going on with me that my yarn winder is horrendous. It's actually in timeout, hanging up in this cube, which you can't see, but I did get a new skein winder. It's far away. I'm not going to grab it now, but it's one of the tabletop ones where you manually, I was going to say stir it, but you manually move like one of the circles around, and then it has the winder section, and it's kind of flat and a little bit long. It looks like the ones from Fiber Artist Supply Co., but it's not from them. It's from Knitter's Pride, purchased at Jimmy Bean's Wool. So I was able to get my sock blockers, those sock needles, and the extra cables, and the skein winder from them. Shipped very quickly. Got it. Loved it. Haven't spun up any skeins to knit with, have I? I don't think so yet, since I'm still working on projects with yarn that I skeined prior. But that is that story. Let me take a breath, because I feel like I'm talking super fast. I'm not used to this. Talking to a camera again, although I am still Zoom calling and FaceTiming and face chatting at work. Hi, I'm back. I don't know where it cut me off. I always forget that this camera only lets me record for 25-minute increments. And then once it reaches 25, it normally will beep, and then I can see on the screen that it's no longer recording. I don't know if it beeped and I just wasn't listening, but we're back. I don't know where I left off. I think I was talking about the skein winder that I purchased, and how much better it is than my old skein winder. And if you've been around, you kind of see my skein vomits and the exploding and crazy cakes that I have, but I'm hoping the new skein winder will solve all of those problems. So here's to having beautiful skeins, you know, little cakes. And then I took some sips of water. Gotta stay hydrated. Be a hydro homie. Let's talk about hand spun yarn. So this is a skein that I recently spun up. I coil spun it, or I core spun it, and then I coiled it. I tried to auto wrap, which I don't even think you can tell because, oh no, did I auto wrap this? I didn't. I think the one before it I tried to auto wrap with a gold or silver thread, and it was bad, guys. It turned out so bad. And if you know anything about spinning and plying, most people have what is called a lazy Kate, which is a contraption. Basically, you put a stick or a pole through your spool and it lets it spool and kind of run and turn continuously without, any interruptions. And I just basically use a wire basket and a long knitting needle, stick it through the spool, and then let it run. But most of the time, the knitting needle slips off, or it's not enjoyable. In this thread that I'm using, it wouldn't unwrap by itself easily. So when I was auto wrapping, it kept getting stuck, or it would go up the tension of the yarn and then come back down and then go back up. And normally from what videos I've seen is it'll just sit right in front of the orifice and then auto wrap on its own. It, shouldn't need so much check-in, or I was trying to separate the yarn I was core spinning with one finger and then having the auto wrap kind of go above that, but it was getting caught in my fingers. So we're taking the time out from auto wrap for the time being, but in the meantime, this was core spun and coiled. This bat was called Over the Moon, and it was 1.8 ounces from Amanda of Melanated Boho Bay. If you know me or follow me on Instagram or have watched that art bat haul, I talk about Amanda's shop all the time. Amanda is the one who got me into spinning and art bats and roving braids and drop spindling, and she kind of opened that world for me of core spinning and everything. So thanks, Amanda. She laughed at me when I made that video talking about all of her art bats that I had purchased. She's like, oh, you make me feel famous, or like we're not friends. We're friends in real life. So I think it's so funny. She was like, ooh, I feel so good, or, just you talking about me, I'm famous, and I got my own YouTube video. So yes, Amanda, you are inspiration to all of us. And I think my purchase of my Spinolution spinning wheel to her, I bought it through her. She's a dealer, and it's just been fun getting to ask her questions or just learning her different techniques and learning from her. And of course, every time she has a drop, I'm there. She can predict what I'm going to order at this point. I guess I'm so predictable. She knows my colors. She knows my color schemes and what I like. So happy to have you as a spinning friend, Amanda. I also send her pictures. I'm like, I don't think this one's too good, or, but she always, pumps me up and compliments me for the work that I'm doing. So I'm still a newbie spinner. I by no means think I am an expert, but if you want to follow along for an expert, go to Amanda. She has a Patreon, so you can support her for a few dollars a month, and she posts spinning videos or sneak peeks of her collections, and that's how I've been able to learn a ton in such a little amount of time. And we love to make friends in the community. The next two skeins I will show you. I spun in the same way. These are single spun and then spiral plied. So this first one, this was a roving braid I purchased from the dyer and business owner Created by LCB. She has such beautiful colors in different braids. I think I purchased this over the summer and I had it in here, and I just wanted to kind of spin through it and get a little bit more familiar with spinning on my wheel. Now, I have other skeins that I've spun on my drop spindle that have just been roving, you know, straight roving, not arbats and not chunky in any style. And I was nervous to start doing this on my wheel, but I sat down, I said, you're gonna learn how to do this. This is kind of beautiful yarn, and whether, I don't really know if it's worsted, sometimes it's bulky, it really is very variable, but I wanted to learn how to spin it myself. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. That was the first one I did. And she drops it. And then shortly after, I did another braid, and I think this one came out so much better. If it'll focus. Hello. There we go. So this was a beautiful braid from Amanda. I'm gonna link her shop down below. I think she has some things in it. She recently launched a collection, I think a week or two ago at this point. And, oh, what was the collection? Oh, Amanda, you're gonna be so mad that I forgot. Sailor Moon. So the link I'm gonna post below, this is why I'm talking about this, is a $5 off coupon for you, and then I think I get some extra points for referring you, but it is a referral code and a nice little coupon. Why not save $5? It could pay for your shipping, cover your shipping. So I think I always link that below in all my videos if you're interested, but that's the majority of where I get my fiber from. And then the other shop that I support is Created by LCB. So that was this yarn. But back to this, I don't remember if this one had a specific colorway, but I spun it in a fractal. So what fractal means is if you're taking a braid, which, let me show you what a braid looks like. A braid of roving, kind of unravel it. This was a braid spun by Amanda too, or dyed by Amanda, I'm sorry. And then you unbraid it, and then you have, you know, I rip it in half. I have two super long tubes of fiber. One I spin straight through, and then the second one I break up into 3 vertical pieces. So you're technically like, you have one continuous color story in the first spin on one bobbin, and then the second bobbin you have 3. So you split it in a third, and then say if it was like red, yellow, green, the first bobbin would be red, yellow, green, the second bobbin would be red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. So you get more of the colors represented in shorter kind of increments throughout the whole spool. And then you spiral ply them together, and then you can kind of watch. I'm doing this as if to represent this one's, you know, 1, and this one has different 3, you know, 3 different sections. I hope you guys appreciate my my personality, the way that I explain things. So that is the story behind the way that I spun this. And overall, I had a blast spinning it. I think the colors are beautiful, and the blues go nicely with this blue. You know, however many little blue peeps there are in this, but those are the 2 skeins that I've recently spun up. They still need to be set and soaked and dried and everything to set this twist, but I just wanted to show you those. Back here in this whip, you probably see this little thing in here. That is a knit collage cardigan that I haven't really knit on in a few weeks or a few months, really all year. I am holding out on spinning that. I think I'm up to the sleeve right now, and I'm just hanging out waiting to do that. And that's also spun with Amanda's hand spun. So if you are not a spinner and you don't have a need for the fiber to spin yourself, Amanda also does sell already plied and spun yarn. And this is gorgeous. This is a spiral ply. I keep saying spiral. It's just a 2-ply for the other ones. This is a spiral ply when you're spinning one yarn around the other, and it kind of creates a little wave texture. but this is really what kind of inspired me to spin some different chunky yarns and things like that. So happy to have that. Now I do have some new art bats and roving that I purchased from Amanda that I received after the last haul I did back in February. So in that, I kind of mentioned she was going to have a big launch for her next collection, which was her collection from the end of February. That was one that she themed around the different colors and different inspirations from India. So I have a few of those here. I'm not going to share those with you. It's not going to be a part of acquisitions, but I'm thinking I'll do another art bat haul. That one didn't get as much traction and as much, you know, notice or comments from subscribers or just YouTube in general. So I don't know if that's the type of content that spinners are looking for and you guys are just here for the knitting. So I'll break those up and kind of spare you. Otherwise, I do have one more whip that I'm not going to show you in this video. I'm going to make a separate video about it. It is a collaboration. So excited to have my first collaboration and be working with an amazing yarn company to share with you the new yarn, new ranges, and just kind of, you know, help share my favorite yarns of that company and yeah, bring that forward and create some more content for you. So that is it from the knitting front. I want to thank you for joining me today. I know, like I said in the beginning, it's been a hiatus, 6 weeks, way more weeks than I wanted to be kind of out of commission filming. Every time I, you know, got ready, sat down, wanted to start filming, something came up. I normally try to film during my lunch hour and take some time away from work, away from the desk, and kind of sit down and do that. But every time, you know, I had planned to do it, it never worked out. I got pulled into something or, you know, just wanted to spend some time actually eating away from the computer and thinking about what I could do. And of course, the longer I waited, the more work I got done. So the more I was able to just share with you. But like I said, we moved. That's why I haven't been on here, but I'm hoping to continue sharing podcast episodes with you every week. If not every week, if I can't do that, then definitely twice a month. I'll do every other week and then share in between. I do have some footage of me spinning, just kind of an aerial shot. And maybe I'll do some voiceover on those, post them, and if you want to listen to some music and just watch me spin for a few minutes, you know, great, perfect. That would be great for you guys. But yeah, instead of me continuing to ramble, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me, for sticking around, for making it to the end of this episode. If you are not already subscribed, I would love to have you. I know my community is growing slowly but surely, and I'm very appreciative of everyone who takes the time to comment and tell me where you're from. And, you know, if you also like to knit green things, or if you have a special color, you know, just share with me and tell me where you're from. Like I said before, I'm currently in New Jersey, so I am enjoying that. Oh, which reminds me, hello! Next week, or is it the following week? One of the weeks in April, maybe it's in 2 weeks, the New Jersey Wool Walk. New Jersey Wool Walk begins, and I have never done a wool walk before. I grew up in Jersey, everything, but when I started really getting into knitting and indie dyed yarn and kind of anything that I couldn't purchase from Michael's, I was already living in the city, in New York City. So I went to the New York City yarn crawl, the Brooklyn yarn crawl, of course, Vogue Knitting Live. I've been 2 times, and it was great to have access to those things, you know, very easily via subway or walking distance or what have you. But now that I'm New Jersey, I have a whole new array, and I think there's like 12 or 13 yarn stores in the state. So I am thinking I want to participate in the wool walk. I have no means, I don't need any more yarn. packing my stash up was a real big kind of mind blow to me. Like, wow, Corinna, you have a lot of yarn that you've acquired over the last 3 years, and you haven't been knitting that much to kind of sustain the habit of purchasing probably 5 years worth of yarn in 1 year over the course of 3 years. I have a lot of yarn. I've been destashing it, kind of posting it on Facebook groups, and letting go of some of the yarns that I know I'm not gonna make anything with, which is a whole other topic, and I'll talk about that probably in another video, just about the, you know, abundance and my thoughts and my feelings around having an abundance of yarn, and the large stash, and the, you know, the stress and just how I feel about it, you know, my emotions towards having that much yarn, and the guilt around not being able to knit it all, and I want to buy new stuff, but I don't want to purchase it if I, you know, don't have room for it. So there's a lot that I'm trying to go through in terms of reorganizing and letting go of, and planning projects and knitting things so I can get through more yarn, but I also want to enjoy the process of knitting all of my items, and making sure that, you know, I'm putting everything that I can into them, so that when I knit them and, you know, and wear them and enjoy them, that they are the best quality that they can be, and knit in a way that will sustain their quality and their life for a long time. So going back to the wool walk, I am thinking of participating. By participating, I mean going to the yarn stores, and just seeing them for the first time, and getting to know them, and kind of seeing what yarns they have. And I'd love to be able to vlog that and share with you the different stores that this amazing state of New Jersey has to offer. So I've kind of split it between North Jersey, South Jersey. I live in Central Jersey. If you are also in New Jersey, I'd like to say yes, Central Jersey exists. It's an inside joke, but it's kind of looking like it'll take me, you know, 2.5 hours to go super far north, where one of the yarn stores is, and then make my way down, and then, you know, 3 hours south, and then hit all of those yarn stores. Just not calculated in either of those kind of road trips are the 2 stores, Frame and Fiber and Balzac's Fiber in Point Pleasant, and I don't remember where the latter is located, but those are kind of more on the shore towns, and a little bit east of where I am, and didn't really fit in with the South Jersey mapping and routing that I did, so that would have been like a 5-hour trip, and that's just strictly driving to each of the different points, not getting out, going into the stores, and I think most of them are only open for a few hours on the Saturday and Sunday of the wool walk, and then of course they're open throughout the week, but I work and I don't have the capacity to drive there, or, you know, take a day off just to go yarn hunting. But I would love to go kind of check out all the stores, hopefully not purchase anything, but I know they're doing a collection of stitch markers from or made by Katrinkles, and it's kind of like a rainbow of acrylic stitch markers. So I would love to be able to kind of build that collection and get that as a souvenir from each of the stores, as opposed to yarn and lots of yarn. So that is my thought process behind it, and of course I would love to film it if the stores allow me to film inside, and kind of figure out what makes each of the stores unique, and so I can make note of which ones to go back to once I'm ready to start purchasing more yarn and building my stash. But right now it's just bursting at the seams, and it doesn't need any more friends to join it. It is good. It is at capacity, maximum capacity of my yarn stash. Okay, so second time trying to sign off with you, but again, thank you so much for joining. Come back next week or in 2 weeks to see some of the whips, hopefully that I can finish. If not, just listen to me chat, and yeah, that's all I got for you. Signing off, Corinna from the Corinna Marie Handmade YouTube channel. Subscribe if you aren't already. Like this video. It helps people discover my videos in my channel. It's so interesting to see the analytics on the back end of having this channel, of where you guys are finding me from. A lot of the time it's from other knitting podcasts and YouTube videos, and sometimes it's, you know, you found episode 1 and now you're watching 2 and 3, and now you can watch 4. This is 4. So if this is your first one, go back and view the other ones. Get to know me and what I'm all about and why I started this channel, and you know, why I'm into knitting. So have a great day, everyone. I'll see you soon, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.